Welcome to the Always Right podcast. I'm Karisa DeLay, author from Vendera Publishing, and this is
Jaime Vendera. I am the publisher from Vendera Publishing, and I'm also an author of a few books. And I'm excited.
Like 40,000.
Yeah, close. 42,000. No, I'm really excited. We've been planning this for a while.
Yes.
So,
and like the summer, the beach. I live at the beach. Jaime lives in
listen,
Ohio.
Let's don't start this podcast wrong. Don't make me upset or angry or anything like that, because I got to hear it from you every day. Yeah, I'm just riding on the beach. And what are you doing? I'm cutting weeds, and then I'll do some words later. But
my grass. Yeah, so we have these live oaks here that I don't have to worry about our grass as much. So yeah, life is great. All right. So this podcast is designed to talk about all ways that we can write. Like we've got authors, we've got college professors on the set list for down the road. We've got musicians who write.
Songwriters, yes.
Oh, yeah. It's not just about books. Now, I'm an author of books. I wrote several college papers. I wrote nonfiction, fiction. So I have my opinions, my perspective, my experience. And then Jaime, he has way more to offer when it comes to outside of just what I've done. So you're going to help offer some of the insight to writing music and other stuff as we get into this podcast.
And is there a way that we can write tattoos in there? Because I have all these wonderful tattoos on my body from Karisa.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't really require writing other than texting someone. No, that's not going to fit on your ribcage, okay?
Okay.
I mean, that's about the only writing extent that tattoo comes from, other than, just writing back the person. So that doesn't count. That's a whole different podcast.
So listen, so for this first podcast, we really do want to tell you about ourselves. And as we progress, we both just really want to help you as a writer, whether you are a songwriter, an author, whatever you may do, because we have been through all of the hurdles for many years. And it can be tough. It can be almost debilitating. You want to give up sometimes, and there's no need. We will help get you through it. And everyone, if you have a book or a song or whatever it is inside of you, if you feel creative, we know that we can help you reach that goal.
Yes. And so with this first episode, what we're trying to do is just introduce you to ourselves, let you know that we're just not someone off the street trying to give you opinions, people trying to parent children who's never had children. Stop trying to tell me how to raise my kids when you don't have any. So we've written books. I have self-published before, which I'm going to get into this, but I self-published first because I denied Jaime's first offer.
I remember, it's funny, you said yesterday, because we met, do you remember how we met? And of course I didn't. I had it all jumbled, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I do remember our first meeting, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to pass. And
I was very stubborn, still am.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, but that's what makes you so great. And you had a good reason for passing. And we'll get into that later, because I'll just sum it up really quick. But you had Crystal Gate was a pretty big, sizable book. And I'm like, hey, why don't we break it down in 2 or 3 books? And you have a trilogy, and you're like, no, it's got to be one story. And I understand. I mean, I love Terry Brooks, and Sword of Shannara was 700 pages long. And if I would have told him that, he would have said no. Ironically, later on down the line, they did break it into 3 books. Not that I'm hinting that we need to do that with Crystal Gate. I'm just letting you know.
Well, and so this is something that a lot of authors may face when they're writing their very first book, which I'm just going to go ahead and start how, that came to be. Our next episode is going to be our inspiration to page. But when it came to who I am, I wrote my first book based on a dream. And like I said, I'll get into that more. But when I took this to how I met Jaime, I am a stylist. I've been a stylist for 23 years, and I never had the desire to write. But when I came up with this book idea, which I literally just went out, bought an iPad, and just started writing. It took me 9 months. That was my new baby. I have 4 daughters, but I had a new baby. This was something that was mine. And one of my clients who was with me all the time, she would drive up from from Virginia. Don't say West Virginia, Virginia. She would come from Virginia, and she's like, listen, now that you're done, she'd read a few chapters along the way for me. And she's like, I'm going to give you someone. They may not take you. They may be interested. I don't know. But you can name drop, and thank you, Louetta, if you're listening. Luetta, I met her through her daughter Whitney, and we were friends. And so she gave me Jamie's name. I was able to name drop, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll look at it." He read it, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to take this, but I want you, like you said, cut it into 3 books." And I'm like, I didn't write 450 pages for nothing. Like, I
But
spent
now I was coming from a marketing standpoint and helping you to
yes.
monetize and make it. But hey, my first book was 400 and something pages, so I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like I wanted a novel. Like in my mind, I was blinded by the facts. I didn't see, or I should say, I was blinded and I couldn't see the facts. That when you write your first book, you should probably take some input. That it's not going to be your like instant seller. There's going to have to be some work. And I was like, nope, I'm keeping all this, and I'm going to do this. And I ended up self-publishing. But then when I wrote my second book, which was the second in the series, so my first book was, I'll just get these out here real quick. Oh, I should have like the first copy of myself. I have that somewhere.
Oh yes.
Yes.
And you'll smack me, but I like that cover too.
Yeah, and shout out to Tim Cruisecamp because he was an amazing photographer that got in my head. And he's done from this point forward. He's pretty much done every book cover I have. But he did this one as well. This was when I went on to Vendera, and then the second book, when I was almost through this one, I messaged Jaime again and said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me. I self-published. I kind of went through the story again, and then I was like, but if you have any ideas to make self-publishing cheaper, because it was very expensive, even though self-publishing can be on the cheaper end. If you want your book to have like certain qualities, you have to pay more a la carte." And I found that it was extremely expensive for the amount of books I pushed. And Jaime messaged me back. He's like, well, asked me how many books I'd done. He kind of like, sure, blah, blah, blah. He read over 4 Rivers based on what I have. And he's like, listen, I'll make you a deal. And I remember this because I was like, well, all right. He said, I want 4 Rivers, but I also want Crystal Gate. We won't break it apart. And then I want everything else that you write. I'm like, sounds like a deal. And we've been friends since.
And I threw in those Ginsu knives as a bonus. Karisa.
What?
Yeah. Well, I'm a little older than you, so back in the 70s and 80s. But wait, if you buy one set of Ginsu knives, you get another one for free.
Got
So
you.
it was like you were doing a sales pitch, like.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I'm glad you stuck to your guns. Honestly, I think the book is better now that I understand what you're going for with the series, to keep it as is. And plus, a lot of authors at that time, even myself, you had to go along that journey. Suddenly, Amazon was exploding, and then Kindle came on the scene, and then everybody was an author. But it was a lot of poor quality. Even in the beginning, for me, it was a lot of poor quality with not so much I had a great team around me, but my vision wasn't perfect with the pictures, with having the right editor. So that took time. You needed to go through that to see. And there was a lot of publishing companies. We shall not mention any names, but there was that explosion, and they preyed on a lot of people. And you were paying a hefty price just to have tons of books printed. And it's not like that today. If you have a good publisher, there's a better way to go about it, and you don't have to have 10,000 books sitting in your house and sell them door to door. So
right. I mean, and there's nothing against self-publishing at all, but there are smarter ways to do it and not get taken. Which we have an episode scheduled for that where we can talk about self-publishing. Oh my gosh, what are you doing?
I am hitting things on my table because it's really sensitive. I'm putting my phone in airplane mode because I just knew when you mentioned Luetta, she's friends with my mother, and I love you, Mom, but I know she'll call me. And it ring, what are you doing? I'm in a podcast, so wanted to take care of it.
I told my husband, I'm like, don't call me at these hours right now this morning. He knows. So, all right. So that is who I am as far as an author. Like I said, I have 4 daughters. I've done hair for 23 years. I owned a salon in Ohio at one point, and now we live at the beach, in the Panhandle, where I only do hair 2 days a week. And then I help with the marketing for Vendera now. So I help.
You help with the market. You own the marketing.
Yes,
you are the marketing queen. Anyone who knows me, it's so funny. We had it because I'm into so many things, and several of my business partners over the years said, "You're a brand for what you do," and I'm like, I don't really push that, so I'm kind of lazy on marketing. But that's why I have you. So there we go.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm very and even with my books, I'm very particular with how our pages look, how our ads look, because I want to, promote our authors as much as I possibly can. It's not just about promoting me, because if I can help promote our authors, people are going to be drawn to Vendera, and it's a whole process. It's a team effort. It's not about just my books. It's not. I mean, we've got some great authors, especially like Katie. Katie's a go-getter when I get their books, so I love promoting her books. It's so easy to promote her covers and her. I mean, who doesn't love a good vampire book?
Absolutely. And we're talking Catherine
Yeah.
Horsley,
Yes,
too.
she's
Yeah,
a Vendera
phenomenal
author.
author.
Yes. So now, like I said, I do help with the marketing and like I'm over the marketing for Vendera. And then, we're here, kind of semi-retired. I'm also a college student at Arizona State University, where I'm getting my religious studies and my anthropology degrees to go with my nonfiction book that
I
I
was going to
wrote
say,
with
very good reason for
this.
that.
Yes, and this is because someone asked me what my degrees were in to write a creative nonfiction. And I was like, oh, I'm just a hairdresser. And they're like, oh, they just kind of gave me a look like, you know nothing. I was like, all right, so degrees, here I come.
Yeah, but
And
it's funny if they would read that book, they'd be like, I'm sure somebody has her like, how in the world is a hairdresser this intelligent and thinking this deeply? Because
well,
I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
no, it's okay. No, and one of the things that people don't know about that book is the only reason that book came to pass was because of a MUFON saying, you need to write this down, because I had found something when I was writing my fiction books that I was like putting together, and they were like, you need to write this into a book and literally put it out there, because no one's figured this out. I'm like, oh, okay. But now I'm getting my degrees, and it's so crazy. I thought maybe there's a chance when I get my degrees, I'm going to prove myself wrong. And it solidified it even more. I'm like, oh my gosh, it just keeps layering. And so, yeah.
Yeah, but as an author too, and this is like for a future podcast, but you said was something in my fiction book that affected this, and you were researching geographical areas in the world, and I've seen a lot of fiction authors who don't really do that. They
Mm-hmm.
just make up. So when I'm writing a fiction book, I really make sure to, if I'm in a town, I go on Google Earth or whatever. I really research it. So that's my brain. You know how my brain is. I'm thinking, yes, that is. I can't wait to do that podcast episode, because to help people
The
build
research.
worlds, to make it more
Yes.
realistic, to put it in
Yes.
this day and age.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's on the list of, we have like so many episodes listed. We're super excited for that part too. And like with being a student at Arizona State University, I've been on the dean's list. My current GPA is 4.07, and I've made connection with a lot of professors. And one of them is going to be on our future podcast and talk about college papers, the do's and don'ts, like follow these rules. This is how you're going to pass. This is how you're going to fail. So I'm excited when she's actually flying down here, and she's going to be live with me here. So it'll be really cool.
no, I'm very excited about that.
Yes. All right. Now you talk about you. Let's talk about
Well, I
Jamie
mean, she's
Vendera.
on the dean's list, but I'm a dean. No, not really, but I run an online school. So I've been a singer my entire life, and I studied voice out in Hollywood at Musicians Institute, and had various vocal coaches. So my main background is music and singing, and if I look familiar, it's because I've been on television shows like MythBusters, Shattering Glass with my voice. So I've set a world record. But even before all of that started, I was a little disillusioned with the information that was out there for rock singers and pop singers on how to take care of your voice. And I had remembered I had a couple really good coaches, had some good books that I love, but I bought some stuff, and I'm like scratching my head thinking, this person's got out this book. This is really poor quality. And there was a time in my life, and it's not ego, but back in the late 90s, I'm like, I've studied a lot. I thought I could write a book. And there's things I wish I knew as a singer when I was younger. So in January 2000, I started writing this book. And much like Karisa, it was not so much a dream, but I woke up from the middle of a dream with this name, Raise Your Voice. And it just stuck with me. And I thought, that's the title of my book. So I spent 4 years, and it was a nightmare, honestly. And the book was only 128 pages for that first edition.
Mm-hmm.
And I would struggle, and I would get mad, and I was writing in Microsoft Word, and I remember writing for 12 hours straight one day, no lie, and I hit something, and I guess my battery was no good, even though I was plugged in. Everything shut down. I didn't have it on autosave. I went back, and I lost everything. I mean, thousands and thousands of words. I was so distraught. And then, as we progressed, you learn things, and I found out about Google Drive and other ways to write for autosave. And I'm here to tell you, at least from my experience, your first book, it will probably be the hardest one you write. I don't know if that was the way for you, Carissa.
No.
Okay, but for me, it was like, and a lot of artists like, the struggle is real. But after that book, they just started flowing, and I was writing, on singing, on mindset, and the television shows were coming, and I started working for record companies, and even to back up, even with Raise Your Voice, I didn't want to be a publisher. Let alone I didn't want to be a vocal coach. That kind of fell into my lap. But with the publishing, I was reaching out, I was sending manuscripts. Nobody was interested. Nobody wanted to publish my book. And I thought, I'm going to do it. And I'll start with an ebook. So I'm researching all these things with HTML and creating your cover. And it was a nightmare for me.
Yeah.
But then I found, I got a team, I got a family, and over time I developed relationships with interior book designers, with cover designers, with editors, and it just fell into place. And now it's just a part of my life.
But you're not just a publisher. You got to remember, you're more than just a publisher. You do more outside of the publishing business too.
I do. I mean, I run a school. I run an online school called Vendera Vocal Academy. I tour. I work with bands like I Prevail on Dream Theater, Starset. I work with Bollywood artists. I've performed all over the world, in Australia, Middle East, Japan, China. So, I mean, I haven't performed in Destin, Florida, or don't live there, but
I mean,
we can't have it all. No.
I mean, don't be jelly.
But with all that said, and Crystal, Chris is the same way. We're down to earth people. It's not. I think it's the drive. It's like people are like, "Wow, you're so lucky. You're so gifted, and you got these amazing vocal cords and this mind to write." That's not it. I've been driven. I get up, I get started, I stay focused, and do well. I don't know if I stay focused. I'm a little ADHD. There's a squirrel, but you know what I'm saying. You got to do it. And when I see authors who want to write, that's the biggest thing. I don't have time. I got kids, I got school, I got work. I don't want to know when I can fit it in. If you're passionate about something like Carissa and I are, you will make it happen. You will make the time.
Yeah, in the next episode, I'm going to go through how I came from dream to page, and versus how my current book is going, and the difference, because like you said, they just kind of flow out more. I feel like mine don't flow out as more, so I'll get more into that in the next episode. But yeah, like authors have real world problems. We have things going on in the world. We don't just sit down and write in and just vomit on the page, And then that's another episode that we're going to have a differencing of opinion on writer's block. So,
yep. That was going to be fun.
Yes, that's all coming up in the next few episodes. But yeah, basically we are real people. We have written books. We have lives. We have ups, downs. We've been through it. We know certain things and we don't know certain things. Some of the things we'll reach out and we're going to ask other people who've experienced it. What did you go through? Blah, blah, blah. We have editors coming on, some thought process with the book designing in the future as well.
Copyright.
Copywriting, how to promote yourself, the proper way to run a Facebook page. It's not just have it on your personal page. There's other ways to put yourself out there that is completely free. And then what to look for as far as being an overcharge if you're self-publishing, things to look for like in a publisher, if it fits for you, finding the right space. So, but I mean, that's pretty much who I am. I mean, I'm a wife. I mean, of course, that's most important, because if it wasn't for my husband, I wouldn't do this, because he supports me in everything. I wouldn't be able to sit here in Destin, Florida, working 2 days a week as a stylist and just, playing creative stuff on my computer. So I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to do that without him. So, and he's an officer in the U.S. military. So for him, he's made our life way easier. And that,
I'm not laughing at you. I think I've been told I'm the wife, because I get to teach from home, and then my wife, she has a master's in social work, and she works at a long-term care. Yeah, so she's like, well, I'm at work all day, and you're home, and you get to do this. I'm like, well, I sweep, and I do the laundry, and I run to the grocery. I don't cook.
So you and I are the wives at home.
Exactly.
Stay home wives.
Exactly.
And that's fine. I'm okay with that. I mean, truth. I mean, I'm just going to be a truth person here, but I hate deep cleaning. I'm not. I mean, I like my house picked up, and I can't start doing anything. I literally can't even get into the motion of writing or doing anything unless stuff for the most part is picked up. But when it comes to cleaning, I'm like, y'all know someone who cleans on a regular basis? Who wants to make some extra money?
I feel you, sister.
You can talk your wife into just moving to Destin. You could just be my housekeeper.
Yes. I mean, I might as well. Hey, my voice lessons are only 40 minutes. I'll just put a little studio in your house, and the 20 minutes in between, I'll sweep and I'll do this. So we shall be done. So that's who we are. We're down to earth, and we've both been doing this for some time. I started Vendera Publishing, at the beginning of 2004, and it's been going almost 20 years.
Perfect. Yeah. See, it's not like we're new to this game. So, and I've been an author. I wrote my first book starting in 2011, published 2012. So,
wow.
Yeah.
It has been, time flies.
Almost 11 years. So
thinking even back, I remember because I started writing fiction. That was 2008. I never thought I would write fiction, but I love it. It's
never thought I would write. I was an artist. Like I had a full ride scholarship to art school, fresh out of high school, and I thought, I mean, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into the military and study aliens and eventually work for Area 51, but
well, you may still get there. Yeah, as a non-military contract with, if anyone reads your books, they'll be like, she knows something.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't been shut down with some of the things, which I was very light in that book about what I know.
And that's why I keep encouraging you to write more.
When you have someone from Homeland Security that shows up to 2 of your events, you're like,
Yes, that was, I gotta be honest, that was kind of freaky. This is because I came to the one event, and you're like, oh yeah, and he's back. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah. Okay.
Awesome person. No, he's cool. Follows me on my socials too.
Every day.
Knows what I'm doing.
Just to be sure.
Yeah,
it's out now, so what does it matter?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is who we are, and this is who we're going to be on this podcast. So we hope that you listen to us. We're going to be available on all our social medias. Always Right Podcast. We do have a YouTube channel. We're going to start the Always Right Podcast as well, and that's all ALL, Always Right. Even though Jamie's already figured out that I'm always right.
We just had this discussion.
Yes.
What is it with me and women, and I'm always wrong? So.
No, I mean, it's fitting. It's fine. At least you've accepted this.
Yes.
You're like, I'm just going to go with it. Yeah, so follow us on our socials. We do have an Instagram, Always Right Podcast. We have Facebook, Always Right Podcast. And you can follow us there to kind of keep up with some of the videos we'll be posting down the road. And then we will be on all of your favorite podcast platforms. So I am author Karisa DeLay, and this is
Jaime Vendera, and we are always right, and we'll see you in the next episode.
All right. Thank you for listening. Perfect.
I love it.
Yes, great.
I love it, love it.
So now let's see, what do I do?
Did it let you stop recording, right?
Yeah.